strong, empowered, authentic.
What's up, Ginger Nation? This is Tosh.
This is Darren, and you are listening to the Authentic
Ginger Podcast. Welcome to the Authentic Ginger Podcast. I'm Tosh Taylor.
And I'm Darren Roach. And on today's show, Tosh, we have an English-Italian. I wanted to put that out there because there are not that many Italian redheads in the world. We have one today. She's first-gen ARTXV artist, which I want to know about, Pesto lover, and travel junkie. And yes, she is a redhead and the owner of two very epic pillows that we just saw. Welcome to the show, Francesca. How you doing?
Hi there. Good to come here. Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm really excited. This is the first podcast I've ever done.
Oh, yes. Perfect.
Why not on the Authentic Ginger Podcast? Sounds great to me.
Yeah,
exactly.
I wanted to you said English Italian, and that was, I looked up the stat. Okay. The amount of redhead Italians, and I know you're not full blood, but there's only 0.57% of Italians that are redheads. So there you go. There's a good start to the show. That was the first thing I thought. When I saw your Instagram, I was like, Italian? Huh, how many redhead Italians are there?
That's why I had to say it. I mean, God, we have to put that out there.
So I'm going to guess that did you grow up in England then?
Yes, I grew up in England. Yes, my mother is Italian and my dad is Londoner. So yeah.
So let's get started with that then. Tell us about growing up as a redhead.
When you listen to how other redheads have grown up, I actually find myself quite lucky in some respects because there's so many positives and negatives to red hair and how you stand out, especially as a child. And I was lucky enough not to be, a victim of any kind of systematic or sustained bullying, which I find is quite rare for people like us. So in that respect, I find myself quite blessed. You're going to get the occasional comment pass. There's always someone that's going to poke a jibe. But I grew up in a pretty positive environment. The Italian family loved that they had a redhead in the family. Yes.
That was my next question. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
But you know what? Interesting about your hair color, for our listeners, it's a darker red. It's not as a vibrant red as I've seen. And actually, your hair color is very similar to my middle daughter. And and it's a really gorgeous color. So I just wanted to put that out there. It's more of a caramel red, would you say, Tosh, than a bright fiery red, which we've seen all sorts. We've seen all shades of red hair on this show, which is awesome. So kudos to having great hair.
Thank you. I think that's nice.
I was thinking about that earlier today. I was like, first of all, I'm going to mention how beautiful her hair is. And then I was like, I wonder if we've had a guest where I didn't say their hair was gorgeous because it is. There's no getting around it.
Yeah, it comes as part of the show, right?
Yeah,
I'm here to big us up, and that's the first start.
Yeah, the first start is amazing hair. Next, we'll talk about your freckles.
Yeah, loads. I'm covered. Yeah.
Oh, you're covered. Okay.
Yeah.
And what I can't remember what. Oh, I wish see. This is where I need to have my stat book here because we did have a dermatologist on the show not long ago, and it'd be nice to be able to recite some of the things that she says about freckles and everything else. I kind of forget, and I really suck for that.
I think what we learned most out of that episode was that we really need sunscreen.
Yeah.
It's a necessity.
That's right.
Yeah, I listened to that episode. It was really interesting.
Wasn't it? I thought so.
Yeah, it was
Thank
fun.
you. Yeah.
So Francesca, so you go through school, everything is cool. You become an adolescent. You're going into junior high school, if that's what it's called over in the UK. You escaped, like in a really positive manner. You didn't have that any weights that were weighing you down with the fact that you had red hair, and you might have been. Were you one of only a few in your school that had red hair, or were there others? And would have that made a difference if that was the case? If you were just to say one in 200 or something like that.
No, there weren't that many of us actually. I was one of the few, and I think the classic thing of girls not being so targeted as the boys were. I feel awful about how some of my male friends that have red hair, what they went through school and continuing into adulthood as well. It's pretty horrendous actually sometimes. I mean, the worst thing that's happened to me is there was a moving car. I was walking to work. A car just went by, and out of nowhere, they threw a bottle at me and said, "Get out of the sun, you daywalker." I know.
Daywalker.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
Wow.
you do get comments even now, but to be honest, for every bad comment, you get like 20 good ones. So it's more than balanced out in my case anyway.
Now, you do a lot of traveling. Do you find that your red hair gets you a lot of attention when you're on the road?
Oh, absolutely. Depending on which country I'm in, yes. And I often have it really, really long. It's usually more than about 22, 23 inches long, usually, because I cut it periodically to sell to wig companies that really like my hair color.
Oh,
So I
wow.
cut it to about here because I don't like really short hair. And so bob length for anyone listening. And then I'd send the rest off. And they pay me for it, so that's a bonus. It takes about 4 years, but
Well,
yeah.
I'm gonna need some details.
yes, exactly.
They love red hair. They really love it. They want it. They're
And
after it. So
I'm going to assume no dye in it. It has to
No.
be all natural. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, they won't pay for it otherwise.
Okay.
What got you into that? How did that come about anyway?
Oh, I'm just poor. So basically, I said, what can I sell that, and I can grow it? I grew it myself,
Yeah.
It's all organic. So yeah.
That's amazing. This is fantastic. This is fantastic. So you sat in your home one day and said, "I'm poor. I need to make some money. I'm going to cut my hair and I'm going to send it to a hair wig company." I mean, did you propose this, or did it kind of happen upon it? Like, honestly, how did this turn out? Like, what happened here?
Well, I was researching, in the United States, they pay quite well for, bits of bodies and blood and all sorts of things. It's not like that in the UK.
Yeah.
Not that I'd go so far as to, sell a kidney or something, but I thought, oh gosh, people sell bits of themselves. And then I thought, hair, wigs are made of hair. You hear of people donating it. So I'd like to think that maybe every third or fourth cut, I want to, because I've only done this a couple of times, I'd want to donate like a certain batch and then the next, get paid for it. But yeah, and it was one of the only things in the UK that you can sell that's you can buy as a I won't call it a body part, but it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's part of your body. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's fantastic, and it goes to a good cause too, right? I'm assuming it's all done, maybe cancer patients or whatever that are losing hair. I mean, this is really cool.
That's if you donate it. I'm not sure about what they do with it in terms of wig, because there's a lot of people that just want to buy human hair wigs because that's
Sure.
their deal. But like I said, I think so every third or fourth cut I'm aiming to donate it, so it would go to those kids that have got the Princess Trust is one of them. They take hair for kids with leukemia and things like that.
That's wonderful. So Francesca, you're an artist. I'm really curious about what this, and I could just be saying it wrong. ARTXV. So ARTXV or
ARTXV, yes.
Yes. What is that?
Okay, so it's a group of artists. There's sort of 18, 19 of us, and they this lady called Ava. She's a business student in London. She has a very severely autistic sister, and during lockdown, she discovered that her sister had quite a few artistic talents about her that they didn't really know about before, and she tried to plug her art to the art world, but found she was being dismissed left, right and centre as soon as she mentioned her sister was severely disabled. It led her to start this whole initiative, ARTXV, which basically pushes the art of neurodiverse people with a sort of autism or sort of synesthesia. I can never pronounce it. It's the one where they can see music, can see sounds.
Wow. Yep.
That one, and any other sort of thing that falls under that umbrella. To the art world to showcase, here's some kick-ass disabled people, and they've got this art and they're talented, and they want to be recognized for that, and not just have it as like a charity case. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but in a business sense, this is what she was trying to push. So I was chosen by her. I am autistic. I have Asperger's syndrome is what they used to classify it as, but it's just under the umbrella of autism now. And she found my art on a blog called The Art of Autism, and we just from then on just kicked off, and it's been really, really good. They've tried to push the NFT side of it, but I think they're trying to focus on something else now. But I've had my art up in Times Square, which was absolutely insane. I had no idea that this was going to happen, and there it was in the lights as part of the NYC NFT convention.
Wow.
Yeah, that was insane. So but most of my other projects, it's all just through Instagram. It's been amazing at that site,
right?
To push it to sort of galleries. I've been in free books, quite a few magazines, and I've got an exhibition on at the minute in Wales, and a couple of other galleries. I've had my pieces displayed too.
Wonderful. And are they online? Can you visually see them online somewhere at these galleries?
Yes, some of the galleries have their pages hosted. I did one for Folks Gallery recently, and they had one of those interactive galleries that you go into online, digital galleries. So you're walking around this digital space, looking at all the different art pieces. That was really cool. But you can find them on Instagram, Folks Gallery, and Gallery Gwyn. There's another one as well.
Yeah, that's great. We'll make sure we put those in the show notes just so people can have a look at those. I think it's are you part of the starting initial group of this organization, or they found you and then that's how it kind of spawned from there?
They found me. That's ARTXV that you're talking about. Yes, they found me, and there's 19 of us, and we're just basically the first generation artists that they've kind of experimented with. We were happy to be guinea pigs because they haven't asked anything of us other than our art and our words to help us to push it out there. So it's all just a big experiment at the moment, so it's really exciting.
Very much so. Yeah. And you mentioned NFTs. Those who aren't familiar are non-fungible tokens.
That's right.
British, I guess, used in, the trading market, almost like stocks and stuff like that, but on a different blockchain and stuff. Now, is some of your art available as an NFT now, or has that been pulled off?
No, they're still available on OpenSea, I believe. ARTXV. We follow the ARTXV links on their website. They have a link to that at the moment.
Awesome. So what is it like to have what was the feeling like to have your art shown in Times Square and in these magazines you're talking about? I mean, it's not what you intended to do. They found their way there. I mean, Did you get a chance to go to New York to see it? You are a traveler.
I know, unfortunately not. No, I couldn't get the time off work for that one.
Right.
I have been to New York several times, love it, but no, not this time.
Okay.
No, the other thing I'm really more what excites me a lot is seeing it in the art books, because it's then used as a frame of reference for people trying to follow. I've got an art book over on my bookshelf, for example, that has my art in it when I do wild collaging, I'm a collage artist, by the way. So it's where you take an element that you've pre-cut, like a person or a vehicle or whatever, and you just walk around and you stick them in little sort of scenarios outside, little stories. You can make stories and narratives out of what you're creating on a macro level, and you take a picture, and then that's how it exists. So that's one of my favorite forms of collaging.
Some of your work is remarkable too. I was just floating through your Instagram this morning before we started interviewing you, and the one with the bicycles and the maps, and I just my mind was like, that is the coolest concept that I've never considered in my entire life. But it's got so many different levels to it and so many different ways that someone could interpret it. I just was like, I was blown away. So I wanted to thank you for putting that out in the world.
Oh no, I love that you've had a look. Thank you. Yeah. It's so much fun. Anyone could do it. So why, you can go home and try it yourself. You just have to cut up something like a magazine or whatever you've got in your house. And once you cut something up, it renders it separate to what it used to be, so you can rearrange it in a new way.
And this is your gateway to traveling, I'm assuming.
Oh no. Art doesn't pay.
That's just for fun.
Yeah. I know, we're stuck because I'm a hobby artist and my husband's an international drummer. So as a musician and an artist, we are poor, man. We are poor.
Listen, I'm right with you. We're podcast hosts, and we're in the same boat.
Yeah, absolutely.
Feel it. Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding. No, I guess what I meant by that statement was your traveling that you do must engage the artistic brain in you that says, I'm going to do something here. I'm going to do something in this country. I'm going to do something in this country. So I'm assuming your art is it's connected to the traveling that you do in a way.
Yeah, well, I only actually took up this art form in the first lockdown. So since then, you're right. I take a packet of little people with me wherever I go. But before that, no, I wasn't. I hadn't done collage since I was primary school.
So what started it? Like, where did you get did you see a picture in a magazine and you thought, okay, I can do something like with this? Or was it just like you guys were watching Netflix one night and you were like trying to keep yourself busy, so you started playing
Oh,
around?
no, well, lockdown, gosh, to me anyway, that was quite a magical time. I was forced to stay at home. I could completely unmask, which is something I have to do sometimes to unwind. And I was free of all societal pressures, sat in my house going, what could I do next? I found it really a creative and inspiring time. And I follow an artist called Maria Rivens, and she put up a competition on Instagram, make something out of what you've got in your house in lockdown. So I did, and I entered it, and I actually ended up winning. And it was a copy of her book that she had released, which was a whole bunch of amazing pictures she'd assembled so you could cut out and collage. And I received it, and I just went nuts, just absolutely nuts. I was there cutting with scissors, Edward Scissorhands style, like this. And bits, elements were flying everywhere. There's bits of paper around my house for months, and I just couldn't stop creating. And I just found I was really enjoying it, loved it, and put it on Instagram, and other people liked it too, which really shocked me. And since then, it's become a real it's just a hobby that I sometimes make pocket money from.
Right. Yeah, it's nice to have that. So can we talk a little bit, because you said like your art has kind of spawned because of your neurodivergency. Am I saying that wrong?
Neurodivergency.
Thank you. So tell me more about that. Like, tell me, because you're a female, and we all know that when we were growing up, girls didn't have autism. It was, yeah, surprise. Now all of a sudden these women are becoming adults and realizing that they've had these signs their entire life. Is that what it was like for you?
Oh my gosh, yes. You couldn't have hit it more on the head. It's astounding, really, when you do look at the figures. Just it's autism and boys, autism and boys, any form of autism, and gosh, there's so many girls that just flew under the radar because I don't know, there's just a natural ability within the way different genders are brought up in childhood, where you're just better at masking. You're better at slipping in and just getting on with people and watching what other people are doing and copying that. And you're right, there's so many women now who are getting diagnosed way late in life, who just got to the stage where they're crumbling, because there's only so much that you can submerge huge chunks of who you are before it starts to show. It's like an iceberg, isn't it? They're only the top bit showing, the rest is all underneath the water. And so these people are all coming forward. It's becoming more acceptable now to go out there and say, look, I think I've got a problem. I'd like to talk to someone about it. And I got diagnosed when I was 33, I think, 33 or 34, so very late in life. And all this time no one had picked it up. And it's the same for oh gosh, how many girls across the country? I can't even imagine, across the world.
Yeah
Would you have recognized it before 33, like, at all, or is it something that just you thought there's something different, I need to go get it checked?
Oh yeah, there was parts of my life where I thought, gosh, am I bipolar, or do I have this, or do I have the other? And none of it I got tested for all sorts, because I thought, God, there's something was niggling at me. I was like, something's not quite right. I'm hard to get on with sometimes. I don't always fit in with people. I misread people. What could it be? And previously the only experience I had of autism was the Rain Man, things like that. I thought, and I looked nothing like that, so it couldn't be that. Do you know what I mean? You can't relate to that on a screen and think that's you. It's not.
Right.
Yeah, when you're completely functioning, everybody assumes, especially when you grew up in the 80s or early 90s or even before that, that's exactly what we thought, right? Like that you could not function on your own. And then we're finding all of these people, and I'm so happy that, like you said, women are standing up and saying, like, I have had these symptoms my entire life. So now it's time to do something about it. So when you were 33 or 34 and you were finally diagnosed, how big of a relief was that? And how did your life change? Like, does medication come into the picture, or do you just learn more ways to cope?
Oh, the relief was, I don't even know if I can describe how relieved I found. And also at the same time, pretty angry that it had been this long and no one had picked up on it. No schools, no uni, no nothing. But after that, no, there's no medication involved. it's made me more comfortable with myself. I've been able to approach work for reasonable adjustments in the workplace, which has been a lifesaver, to be honest. I'm very much more open about it. This is probably one of the first times I've talked out loud about being autistic. So probably friends and family will listen to this and they have no clue. But it's still, there's still sort of steps you have to get over. There's still a stigma behind it. There's still stereotypes behind it. There's still the whole, no, you're not, you don't look it, you don't act it.
Right.
That you have to get past. And there's this overwhelming sense of, oh, autistic people don't like other people, or they don't have emotions. And it's like, oh my gosh, that's like the furthest from the truth you could possibly get. Some of us are empaths, but we just don't know what to do with it. We don't have those coping mechanisms to deal with those floods of emotions when we're around other people that are heightened in their own emotions too.
Okay.
It's interesting how you say women, and I didn't realize that women in the past didn't have, wouldn't be the ones looked at to have, this type of functionality.
Nope.
And so what was interesting is that to me, while I was listening to that was, we had our daughter assessed for ADHD, which is again something totally different. However, the process is exact same. Our psychologist told us that girls fly under the radar. In school and in areas of lots of people. They just and they don't do it on they don't do it on purpose. It just, they're able to fly under the radar until it's too late, and then like anything else, you leave something too late, there's potential for damage mentally down the road. And so this is kind of really jiving with what I was told, and kind of making me rethink what I just heard, because I just didn't know that. So I really appreciate you explaining this, because maybe there's people in our audience that are feeling the same way, and might just turn around and go ahead and make that step, right? Like to find out, because I think, like you said, the relief, we can't imagine what that relief is like. I can only imagine what it would be like for other people as well, just to have that sense of, okay, finally I've been diagnosed with what I thought I've always had. So I appreciate you for telling us that. No,
that's cool. I hope it does help someone out there, because I know what it's like.
Right. And so I'm going to shift gears a little bit because I'm curious about this. So you recently made a trip, and what was intriguing to me was I read the post, and then I started thinking, I wonder why. So you say you travel mostly on your own.
A lot on my own, not mostly, but a lot of independent trips. Yes.
Independent trips. And independently, when you're setting up for these trips, do you ever think that, maybe I should reach out to a friend? Does this connect with autism at all?
No, not in this case. It's I love traveling with people. I like traveling with my partner, with friends, in groups, or just alone. I find that if you mix up your experiences of the world, you gain a lot more from it. And there's so many things you can do on a solo trip that you wouldn't feel comfortable doing with friends, and vice versa too. So I really do like to mix it up.
That's wild. And I applaud you for that, because I can tell you, and I don't know if Tosh knows this, but I would be frightened to leave my home on my own. Oh, absolutely. My wife would tell you that. Sheva would say, there's no way he's even going to the New Brunswick by himself, let alone go across the world. But also what's intriguing about that post that you had was that you decided to do something different that you hadn't done before. Yes. You usually take photos of yourself. You usually, selfies, maybe a selfie stick up and doing your thing. This time, and by the way, where was it that you went? Because I need to clarify that.
Venice, Italy.
Venice, Italy. See, you decided to get a photographer this time, a professional photographer, to photograph you. What was that?
Okay, so yes, like you said, when you go on trips on your own, you do have to rely on either the kindness of strangers or a selfie stick to get the images of yourself, at least a few there, to show that you were there. It's not just you taking lots of photos. And so this time I thought, you know what, I've had a rough couple of months, so I'm going to treat myself to a photographer in Venice. And there are a lot of photographers out there that specialize in just doing individual photo shoots, they call them. They usually do things like weddings and other stuff on the side. Yeah, but this is like a side gig. And I found this guy called Pietro Volpato online, and he had a really good package available, and he was free for the dates I was there. It was quite last minute. And I ended up meeting up with him and had the best day, because he also doubled as a tour guide. So you're not just getting photos of yourself in these beautiful places, you're also getting this local authentic experience of this guy or woman or whoever is taking you around, showing you all their secret spots, taking you to some cool cafes and things like that. It was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I recommend it to anyone.
Does it ever cross your mind? How much have you traveled, Francesca? I mean, how many places would you say you've gone on a solo adventure?
Well, I've traveled to about 28 countries so far, and
Jeez.
maybe sort of 4 out of 10 are individual solo trips. So yeah, a fair few. I went to Costa Rica on my own. That was amazing. There are some countries I don't know if I would go alone. In fact, I went to it was beautiful. I went to India, but you do get a lot of unnecessary, quite horrible male attention sometimes. I found the same in Morocco and the same in Tunisia, unfortunately. And it was a bit like, oh gosh, I was glad at that point that I was traveling with a male companion, like a friend or boyfriend at the time, whoever, because you hear some horror stories, and it's really hard because you don't want to put people going off these places because they really are amazing. They're great. But I did have a couple of negative experiences, which would make me say maybe I won't go to some countries on my own, basically.
So you just do your research and you understand where you're going and all that kind of thing. What is the craziest thing that you feel you've eaten?
Eaten?
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
I mean, 25 countries. Come on, there's got to be something.
Yeah. Well, actually, I can say that it's something I couldn't identify, which is, alarm bells straight away. And it was actually going back to India. I went to India, and we had a driver that took us around to a few places, and he invited us back. We got on really well, and he invited us back to his family's house, and they lived in the outskirts of Delhi. Wow. It wasn't the slum, but it was those very intensely packed buildings, very compact. And we went in there, and there's only a certain point you can get to by car, so we had to stop and then walk the rest of the way.
Wow.
And we went to his family's house. It's just literally this one bedroom place with the kitchen and the bed and everything all in one place. And it was fascinating because they cooked us this meal. It was a rice based and breads and things like that. And there was a meat there. I could not tell you what it was because when I travel, I try to go as vegan or veggie as I can.
Right. Yeah.
I don't really like the practices of animal agriculture in many places. So I try, but I couldn't sort of say no to this. This is a family. I had nothing that was giving me something. So I was like, okay, I'll give it a go. And I ate it. It was absolutely amazing. One of the best meals we had in India.
Wow.
And I could not tell you to this day what it was, but it was the taking the step of eating something I didn't know. I don't know what this is. That was probably the weirdest thing. Yeah.
And you were fine the next day? Nothing?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. That's brave.
Yeah. I would love to go to India, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I do have a secret passion to go to India. Just, I want to step off the plane and not only feel the massive heat. I mean, I do like the heat. That's probably really massive, but the smells. I want to know what the smells are in India. I can only assume it just has a different feel. The whole vibe, it must be different than a lot of places in the world.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, you step off the plane and it's this wall of heat, like you described, which you do actually get in certain places in Europe a lot too. There's this is Italian heat that definitely hits you when you get off the plane. But India, it's definitely gives you the I've stepped into another culture thing.
Right.
You can tell you're somewhere different, basically, like completely different.
Yeah.
Like hands and soul different. And well, for example, I went to Japan not long ago, and you step off the airplane there, and it's so similar but different, if you understand what I mean. So it's an island, a garden island. They love their gardens like the Brits do. So we have so many similarities and things like that. But their landscape is obviously a lot more big. It's out there. It's great. But it doesn't smell different. So I think if you wanted to go to India, you definitely get a different sense of where you were in that place.
What would Nicolas Cage do?
God. Oh, I have no idea. I keep trying to bump into him. It's just not happening.
well, he's behind you right now.
I know. It's not quite the same.
So
keep staring at me.
for listeners, Darren is referring to a throw pillow that is on Francesca's couch, which is epic, and we both love it very much. So there's.
Here, I'm gonna take a little snapshot of it, put it back up again, and then we can show this in our show notes. That is really well done. I have to say, you're right. And she does have another one with Dave Grohl, which I'm a big fan of. So
I do. I've met Dave Grohl. He's amazing.
You have met Dave Grohl?
Well,
yes, yeah.
With your partner being a drummer, I can assume. Yes. That's awesome.
He's just as nice as you think he is. He is truly the nicest guy in rock.
That's awesome.
I learned a shit ton today. All right. Number one. Number two, I'm so happy that you're able to share your story with us, Francesca, because there was something about your profile that I kept on looking at, and there was something in it. I knew I needed to reach out to you. So I'm extremely happy that I did. Not a joke at all. I'm really, really serious. Yeah. I'm really excited to have you on the show. So I really want to thank you very much for that.
Oh no, thank you. Honestly, it was so out of the blue. I was so excited when you messaged me. I thought, oh my goodness, this is fantastic. And then I went and obsessively looked at all of your podcasts, listened to all of them. Oh God, this is amazing. I definitely want to be part of this. So no, please keep putting this content out there, because people like us, we need it as redheads.
Agreed.
For sure.
Agreed. Perfect. Well, thank you so much for listening to the Authentic Ginger podcast. And if you happen to know any amazing gingers like Francesca, then please send them our way.
You've been listening to the Authentic Ginger podcast.
Become a part of the Ginger Nation by liking, subscribing, following, and leaving a review wherever you listen to podcasts. This podcast was produced by Tosh Taylor of the Podcast Hub Productions. Find her online at podcasthub.ca.